Hi biology students, this video is to serve the purpose of us going over the photosynthesis versus cellular respiration graphic organizer. In this activity, you will be filling out your graphic organizer cloud assignment while going through this video with me. The purpose of this activity is to compare and contrast the differences and similarities of photosynthesis and cellular respiration. So to begin, plant cells are the type of cells that go through photosynthesis. Photosynthesis itself occurs in which organelle? The chloroplast. In cellular respiration, however, this happens in both plants and animal cells, and this provides energy for the cell. And this occurs in which organelle? The mitochondria. That will be the organelle that you guys will never forget. And when anyone asks you what is the mitochondria, you will say the powerhouse of the cell. This is where we create energy for the cell. What is the purpose of cellular respiration? Well, we are going to transform and convert energy in photosynthesis, but we're specifically taking light energy and we are going to convert it into a chemical energy called glucose. Remember that glucose is a sugar, and the way to remember that glucose is a sugar is it has the end part of the word with "-ose". Anything with "-ose" at the end of the word indicates that is a sugar. So we are taking light energy and we are converting it into a chemical energy stored in glucose. What is the purpose of cellular respiration? Here we are going to release energy stored in glucose and make ATP that is readily available for the cell to use, okay? So what we are doing here is we are releasing energy in this one we are storing energy. And in cellular respiration, we are taking glucose, which is that sugar, remember, and we are releasing that energy in that glucose to make ATP. As for the big differences that we just went over, photosynthesis happens in the chloroplast. Cellular respiration happens in the mitochondria. Both plants and animals do cellular respiration. However, only plants do photosynthesis. What is the purpose of photosynthesis? You are storing energy for later use. In cellular respiration, we are releasing energy. In photosynthesis, we're taking that light energy from the sun and we are converting it into a chemical energy called glucose, which is a sugar. And we're storing that for reserves. In cellular respiration, we're taking that glucose either from photosynthesis or from the foods we eat. Remember, carbohydrates break down into sugars to make ATP, which is a readily available energy source. Now let's go ahead and go over the reactants versus the products. Remember, reactants are what reacts to make a product. Products are what is produced. So what goes into photosynthesis? Guys, this we should know by now. We might not know those chemical equations, but you should know what you have to do to keep a plant alive. What do you first have to do? You have to put it in the sunlight, okay? Because that's where that initial energy is going to come from. You have to make sure it has water or H2O. And you also need to give it carbon dioxide. Do not just call it air. Plants take in carbon dioxide, so CO2. Carbon, di means two, so O2. What is produced from photosynthesis? Well, right here we took that light energy and we made it into glucose. So one of the products is going to be glucose or sugar. Remember, that's also known as C6H12O6. I'm not going to require you remember that, but for the process of recognizing it, it's very important. What is the other product? Well, You know how people always say trees help us breathe? We don't breathe in carbon dioxide. What do we breathe in? We breathe in oxygen, so O2 or oxygen. So whenever I ask you what are the reactants, that's what is being taken in. What is the product is going to be what is produced. Now let's do that exact same breakdown for cellular respiration. The cool thing is if you know what photosynthesis is and you know the reactants and the products, all you have to do is flip-flop them for cellular respiration. Think about what you breathe in, okay? So the reactants, again, are what we take in. The products are what we produce. Well, do we breathe in carbon dioxide? No, we breathe out carbon dioxide. We breathe in oxygen. So the first reactant is oxygen, or O2. Let's go ahead and check that one off. Great, it's the exact opposite. It's products on this side. It's reactants on the cellular respiration side. What else do we take in? Well, how do we survive? We can't just breathe. We would starve if we didn't eat, right? Well, our food breaks down into something called glucose or sugar. So again, cross that off, glucose. And what do we produce? We inhaled oxygen. We exhale carbon dioxide, which helps the plants, which is a reactant right here. Notice again how it's the exact opposite. So the products are carbon dioxide, which we breathe out. We sweat, we pee. That is mostly comprised of water. That is a product we produce. And the only difference that you can't say, oh, they're the exact same in the opposite form, is we don't produce sunlight. That would be very odd, and you should probably go to the school nurse if that's the case. However, we do produce a different form of energy. What energy is produced in cellular respiration? Not glucose, but this time we're producing energy in the form of ATP, okay? So anytime that you are asked for the reactants versus the products, it's the exact opposite. The only thing you're going to change is rather than the energy in sunlight, it's going to be energy in the form of ATP, okay? Now let's go ahead and let's move on to the next slide of your assignment. So now we are looking at, again, that equation that we just filled out on our charts, but this is a different visual. So how does photosynthesis store or release energy, okay? Remember, in photosynthesis, we take sunlight and we convert it into glucose, which is a sugar. We cannot readily use that sugar in our cells yet. It's like getting your paycheck but not going to the bank yet, okay? So in photosynthesis, we store energy and in the form of glucose or that sugar. Now, in cellular respiration, we take that energy and we convert it into that cash after we've cashed that check, okay? You can't go to a store and just bring them your check. You have to go to the bank first, deposit it or cash it, and then you can spend that money. We need to get the cash from that paycheck. So we're going to take that paycheck or glucose and we're going to release that energy in the form of ATP. So in cellular respiration, we release energy, but we're not going to release it in the form of glucose. We're going to take that glucose and we're going to turn it into ATP. Now, I ask you to drag and drop. I can't drag and drop in this video, but we have two equations. We've got the first equation and we've got the second equation. If you're overwhelmed when you see this, take a breath. Think about a plant, okay? You're watching a friend's plant and they ask you not to kill it. What do you have to do for that plant so you don't kill it? You've got to put it in the sun. You've got to make sure it gets enough water, but not too much. And you need to make sure it gets carbon dioxide, okay? Which one of those gives it water, gives it carbon dioxide, and gives it light? Right here, number 2. That's photosynthesis. Now, we do the exact opposite. We don't breathe in carbon dioxide. That would kill us. We breathe out carbon dioxide. We also don't produce sunlight. We produce energy, though. So what's that cash money that our bodies make up? ATP. We breathe in, however, oxygen. We eat carbohydrates and lipids. And carbohydrates give us glucose, which is that short-term energy. And we breathe out carbon dioxide, we sweat and we pee, and we make ATP that is readily available. So number 1 is going to be cell resp, okay? If you are struggling on this activity, please, please, please sign up for those office hours, shoot me an email, and let me help you. Thanks, guys.